So over the years, over the last 20 years that I've been a mom, I've developed 3 habits per se. I would say that's the best kind of word that I could come up with, 3 habits, but they're essentially 3 general things that I do around friendship that help me strike the right balance between my family and investing in my friendships. Because I need my friends, but my family is my priority, and how that all works together is really important to me. Hi, I'm Sarah Short, your host of the No Way But Through podcast. This is your weekly one-stop shop for all things mom. How to parent through those exhausting days with your little ones, how to be intentional and connected with your big kids, and how to embrace what truly matters and let go of the rest. From life with a newborn to toddlers to teenagers and everything in between, I'll teach you foundational and practical strategies on how to walk through every season of motherhood with courage and creativity, all while prioritizing your relationships with your kids in a home life where all of you can thrive. My Nana once told me, there's no way but through. Turns out she was right in life and in motherhood. So come along with me as we become better moms together. This is the No Way But Through podcast. Hey y'all, welcome back into the No Way But Through podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Short, and I'm just so glad to be back here again with you today. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, friendship. When I was first dreaming up this podcast and plotting out my first several episodes, I wanted to start off with something very specific for young moms, because you young moms, you have my heart. You are the reason I started this podcast in the first place. You are the reason that I show up over on Instagram regularly throughout the season of this podcast, and you are the reason that I do what I do here. The moms who are older than me, who were further ahead down the road from me in motherhood, who braved that path before me, but invested in me at the same time and gave me wisdom, cared for me, and helped me see the roadblocks ahead and what was coming for me. I didn't know how important they were going to become in my life, and I would say even critical as a young mom. I needed their wisdom and I needed their insight. And there were seasons in my life when I had it, and there were seasons in my life when I didn't. But when those women were part of my life, I was always a better mom, and I was becoming a more prepared mom for the stages ahead. And I absolutely valued and cherished their wisdom. So I wanted to start off the very first season of this podcast with something just for young moms, and that was episode number 2, 2 moms of 1 or 2 children. If you haven't listened to that episode, that is a great one to introduce yourself to this podcast. That episode is based on a viral 2013 blog post I wrote that has been shared hundreds of thousands of times and viewed millions of times, and so I wanted that to be my first episode. And then for the second episode that I recorded, which is technically episode 3 if you're looking at the lineup of this podcast, because episode 1 is actually the introduction. The second episode I recorded was on friendship. 4 ways to know someone is for you. And that remains the single most listened to episode on this podcast. People listen to that episode every single week, and I continue to get messages from people about how that episode has helped them think through friendship in their own lives. So I suppose you could say that mamas and friendship are 2 of the things that I love to talk about. And there are also things that I think are really needed in conversations around motherhood. I know for you young moms, so much of what you see and consume comes from influencers on social media. And while some of it can absolutely be really good, a lot of it is not. And I know that friendship is so important to y'all because you tell me that, but it's also a really tender and difficult topic. But it's something that I have worked really hard on in my life. And now that I've been an adult friend to people for over 30 years, I'm finally starting to really learn some things. And it's an honor to get to share them with you on this format here on this podcast. So today we're going to talk about friendship. Specifically, 3 friendship habits that I've developed over the course of my life as a mom. 3 habits that have helped me balance time with my family and investing in my friendships. It is no secret to y'all, if you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, that my relationships with my kids and my husband are the most central relationships in my life. And they are the most important relationships on this earth to me. Now, everyone might not agree with that. Maybe your family is not your priority or not your most central relationships. But my relationship with God and my life and walk with Jesus is the primary relationship in my life. It is the relationship that I have with my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and the walk that I have with Him. That is the primary relationship in my life. I came to know Jesus at 5 years old, and He has been the best friend to me. He's been the best friend I've ever had, and I share an intimate closeness with Him. But He is also Lord, and He is God in my life. And intention in that relationship with Him, trusting Him with my life, trusting Him with my family, trusting Him with my decisions, confessing sin, and taking everything to Him. My relationship with Him is the primary relationship in my life. But my family, my relationship with each of my kids and with my husband, they are the central relationships in my life here on this planet. They are my earthly relationships that I feel called most to foster, most to invest in. And I feel like in this season of my life, this is what God's called me to develop these relationships, to guide my kids, to offer them wisdom, to invest in my marriage with Jason, to model a good marriage for my kids. These are the central relationships in my life, and they are the most important people to me. They are my priority. They are top dog. Are other things important to me? Are other people and relationships important to me? Absolutely. But they are not my top priority. So with all that being said, my friendships are critically important in my life. I absolutely love the friendships that God has given me in the last almost 50 years that I've been on this planet. My friend, Jennifer Taylor, who I grew up with, who was an incredible friend to me as a very young girl. My best friend, Sandra, who I met in middle school right after we moved to Baltimore and remains one of the most precious people in my life, even though we live a couple of states away from each other now. I could not have asked for a better lifelong friend. God gave me incredible friends in college and to start my young married life. And when we moved to Michigan, He gave me Kristen and Heather and Erica. And for the last almost 15 years, He's given me my dear friends, Courtney and Veronica. And in recent years, He's given me the sweetest friendships in my friends Morgan and Megan. And there are many others that I haven't listed here, including the young moms that I've met here through this podcast, who are so precious and sweet in my life. And the ones in my real life who have been here for the last few years that I've been mentoring, they are absolutely my friends. Every once in a while, you will hear someone say something like, Jesus is the only friend you need. And my whole body tightens up and I absolutely cringe at that because it's not true. Jesus needed friends. Jesus wept when one of His best friends died. Everything in us cries out to not be alone and to have friendships with people, real and true and good and safe friendships. We all know this, right? If you are in a season where you don't have friends right now, you feel this very acutely. And if you are in a season right now where you have lots of friends, you feel this too. And know this because you could burst for joy at the gift of the friends around you. Just as the girl who doesn't have friends right now cries herself to sleep at night, wondering why. So while I prioritize my family, I also really need and crave and love my friends. So over the years, over the last 20 years that I've been a mom, I've developed 3 habits per se. I would say that's the best kind of word that I could come up with, three habits, but they're essentially three general things that I do around friendship that help me strike the right balance between my family and investing in my friendships because I need my friends. But my family is my priority, and how that all works together is really important to me. Managing my priorities in the correct order is very important to me. It's one of the things that Jason and I talk a lot about with our kids in helping them manage their priorities. Schoolwork and family time and making sure they're taking care of their cars and getting gas and keeping their rooms picked up and organizing their stuff, doing their laundry, going to church and investing in their own friendships, all of that. It's something we talk about a lot with each other and with our kids. So, what are these three habits around friendship that I have developed in order to be able to prioritize my family, the most central relationships in my life, but also grow and maintain healthy friendships? Number one, I say no. There are so many things in the hustle and bustle of life in 2024 that would aim to pull all of us in different directions. Because we are inundated with everything happening in the world, essentially, it's all at our fingertips at all times. It can become incredibly overwhelming to try to determine what it is we should be saying yes and no to. We cannot give financially to all the causes that are asking us for money. We cannot give our time to all of the things or people who are asking for our time. We have to choose, which means we have to be able to say no. Sometimes we have to do that very verbally and very directly and say, no, I'm not going to do X, Y, or Z right now or at this time. And other times we can simply just not sign up. But we have to be able to say no to things when they do not line up with our priorities. When it comes to friendship for me, there are many times that I say no to doing things, to going places, to attending a party or an event, to meeting up with friends or going to coffee, or even to a new friendship. Because what is more important to me is prioritizing my family. Time with my kids, time with my husband, prioritizing those central relationships in my life, which are Jason and my kids. No doesn't mean I don't care about my friends or my friendships. It just means no, I'm going to prioritize something or someone else right now or this time. Let me give you an example of what that's looked like in recent years for me. Over the last few years, I've had occasion to go to the beach with some of my girlfriends. It's always something that I really look forward to when it happens because I love the beach and I love my friends, not necessarily in that order. But the combination of my friends at the beach is about the best thing in the world to me. It's about the best thing in the world to me, except when one of my sons has a football game. Most of the beach trips that Jason and I have gone on with friends over the last several years have fallen over a weekend that one or more of my boys play football. Two of them just finished playing 4 years of high school football, which meant that they had games every Friday in the fall under those Friday night lights. Well, you can't be at the beach with your friends for a weekend and out to dinner on a Friday night and at your son's football game on Friday night at the same time. Every time we've gone on a weekend beach trip with friends, my really close girlfriends, my inner circle, my girls that are for me, that know me and love me, they know exactly where I'm going to be on Friday night during our weekend beach trips. I'm going to be back in Raleigh, sitting on the bleachers, cheering on my sons. It's just how it is. They know that my kids are my priority. They know that I'm going to say no to the beach and yes to my kids. Has that always been easy? Like, no big deal, just can't come to the beach, and instead I'm going to be at the football game? Y'all, it's been hard every single time. making that choice and having FOMO creep in, every single time my heart has felt this sting of pain of having to make that choice. But that no to the beach has been a yes to my kids. And my friends know it is always going to be that way. Jason and I have missed dinner parties on Friday nights over the last 5 years, and dinners out, and birthday parties, and celebrations and events that we would have loved to have attended. But y'all, our butts were on the bleachers at Leesville Road High School, cheering on our boys and making a ruckus because they are our very best yes. No, and being able to say no also means that I don't volunteer for everything. In fact, I don't volunteer for much. Why? Because I have 5 children at home and I'm really busy with them and they are my priority. Do I volunteer for things? Of course. Yes, y'all, this year, I'm a football mom for the first time. I'm helping 2 other moms run all the stuff for the middle school football team for my 8th grade son. And it's a lot of text communication and planning. And I'm so glad that for his last year of middle school football, I said yes. But y'all, that comes on the heels of years of no. Why? Because I prioritize being available for my other 4 kids, and sometimes that no is the best way for me to be the best mom. Over the years, I've gotten a lot better at saying no to things and to people that I knew were going to come in conflict with me being able to prioritize being at home with my family, serving and loving them, discipling my kids, and investing in my marriage. I don't know if you're an Enneagram person or not, but if you are, I'm an Enneagram 2. And if you were to just look at a one-page snapshot of words and phrases that kind of make up what an Enneagram 2 is like, you will almost always see the word yes on there. I love to say yes. I love to say yes to helping people. I love to say yes to my kids to ice cream after school or ice cream for breakfast or second ice cream after dinner. I love to say, yes, you can buy this. Yes, you can have this. Yes, you can go hang out with your friends. Yes, I'll buy you those shoes. Yes, yes, yes. I love to say yes to my husband. I simply love the word yes. But the word no has become incredibly valuable and important to me because learning to say no as it relates to friendship and people asking for things of me has been critical to me being able to continue to prioritize my family when 1 million other things and people might pull me away. When I'm trying to balance this role of mom, the central role in my life right now, no has helped me grow rich and meaningful friendships that stick and are healthy because I'm drawn to friends who know what my priorities are and respect and love me enough to allow me to choose those priorities for myself. And that leads me to number 2. I foster friendships that give me freedom. Y'all, the learning that I have had to do around this has been some of the most difficult in my life as a friend. This was not something anybody ever taught me or explained to me, and I learned all of this in real time in my own life. And sometimes those are the hardest lessons we have to learn, right? And I would say with this one, I learned the hard way. This was straight up on the job training. I was a really young mom when I had my first sort of run-in with realizing that I was in a friendship with another mom where there were heaps of unspoken and very real expectations placed on my shoulders that I did not know were there. I talked about this more in episode 3 in 4 ways to know someone is for you. Because one of the points that I make in that episode is that when I know someone is for me, they don't place unspoken or unreasonable expectations on me. I essentially lost a friendship as a young mom with someone, another mom, because I didn't text her back. I didn't text her with the frequency that she wanted I didn't respond when she wanted. And I had other friendships in my life that I felt like the texting was fine, but with this one, I was never doing enough. And I absolutely loved this girl, and I just didn't understand. If you are a mom and you are drowning under a pile of children and you are just trying to get through every day with sippy cups and dishes and laundry and exhaustion and life, and you have a friend who is placing unspoken expectations on you to call her and text her and do something or be something in some way that you're not, it's just really hard, if not impossible, for those friendships to grow and thrive. It's hard because you don't even know at times what she's expecting of you. And you find out later, maybe just by the way she's treating you, that you didn't do something she expected you to do. When I have friends or I'm building friendships with people who give me freedom to choose my priorities, I foster and invest in those friendships, because I know that they're going to let me make my choices. And a lot of times, those choices are going to look like prioritizing my family. And as I already mentioned, they're going to look like saying no to them. And no comes in many forms, including not responding right away to a text sometimes because I'm dealing with my kids, or I'm taking a nap, or I'm cooking dinner. My friendships that I foster, that I care for and invest in, and that I love, are the friendships I have with other moms who give me freedom to make my choices. They know that if I don't text them back, it isn't because I don't like them. It isn't because I don't want to be friends or because I'm a jerk. It's simply because I'm in a hard and busy season of motherhood, oftentimes just like they are. I'm doing the very best that I can and making so many choices every single day on how to spend my time and what to do. And then just doing the best that I can. It's funny. One of my very best friends, she always tells all of us that when she dies, she wants us to put on her gravestone, she did the best that she could. Because y'all, sometimes that's all any of us are doing. We're just doing the best that we can. I was recently at an event and I hadn't seen one of my best friends in a few weeks, and we hadn't even really texted much except on some group texts here and there, but we hadn't had a chance to catch up on life or on our kids. And she and I were both attending this event. I got there before she did, and when she came walking in, and y'all, she is not a hugger. I am a hugger. She is not. But y'all, she walked right up to me and threw her arms around me and gave me a big hug and said, "I have just been thinking about you so much this morning. How are you? How is Jack? How is Max doing?" Her whole face lit up because she saw me. No, "Why haven't you texted me?" No passive aggressive side eye. No ignoring me and walking past me as if she didn't see me. None of that. Just, "Hey, how are you? I'm so glad to see you. I love you so much. I care so much." A little bit later on in the night, as she and I were continuing to catch up, we were standing out in the lobby and we hadn't talked to each other in a few weeks, and the people around us just kind of faded away because we were catching up. And another one of our friends, the three of us are very, very close. She came up to the two of us and said, "Well, y'all, I'm looking at you from across the room and y'all have your arms waving around wildly all over, animated." And we all three just burst into laughter because we're just really for one another. These two girls know where my heart and where my priority is, both of them. They know it's at home with my family. They have teenagers too, and they know that I am in it, and they give me freedom to make my choices. And so I invest so much into both of those friendships. Getting hurt by a friend who ignores you or ghosts you or is cruel to you or mean to you or just generally not kind, that is a very real thing. If you have experienced that, I have too. Giving your friends freedom to make their own choices, allowing your friends space to be who they are and prioritize what they prioritize is not the same as allowing friends to mistreat you. But the friendships in my life that I foster, that I pour into, and that remain after years of shifting and changing circumstances, kids growing up, moving around, all kinds of hard things entering our lives, those are the friendships I have with women who give me the freedom to make my choices, prioritize what is important to me, and never place on me the expectation that what's important to them is what's important to me. And I do the same for them. We give each other space to choose what we value, how we spend our time, how we parent. Those are the friendships that I foster. That habit of fostering those kind of relationships has built within my life a circle of mom friends that I absolutely cherish and that is thriving, and I'm just so grateful for it. Number 3, I don't indulge pettiness. When I was planning for this episode, I sat down and thought to myself, how am I going to explain this? How can I communicate what this is and what it looks like if someone doesn't know? When you heard me say, I don't indulge pettiness, there are some of you that probably almost jumped out of your seat like 100%, that's it, me neither. And there are some of you that might be like, what is she talking about? When I am engaging in friendship now and still being open to new friendships, I've talked to you guys about this before, I remain open to new friends. When I am fostering friendship in my life with other moms, one of the things that I am not going to do, and very frankly, I'm not going to tolerate, is pettiness. When I'm having trouble finding the words to describe something, I usually take to the dictionary, so that's what I did here. I looked up pettiness in the dictionary to see if maybe the definition of the word would help me to define what this is for y'all. Here are some of the different things that came up from different dictionaries. Pettiness is the quality or condition of being unkind or ungenerous. Mean-spiritedness. Caring too much about unimportant things and being unnecessarily unkind. Offended or upset by minor things or being spiteful. I don't know if you are sitting there and you hear these things and some faces are coming to mind, but that's what's happening to me sitting here very honestly recording this podcast. I have an incredibly difficult time being friends with people who are petty, who are unnecessarily unkind. And one of the things that makes it so difficult is that pettiness is hard to call out because a lot of times pettiness is masked, and sometimes it's masked with sugary sweetness. I have someone in my life that will oftentimes see me and say hello to me with a very smiley and very over-the-top greeting. But as soon as that greeting leaves her mouth, it's as if she is looking right past me and a scowl comes over her face and she moves on. It's petty. It's unnecessarily unkind. I had a friend once, and there was absolutely nothing I could do to keep her from being upset with me on the regular. The smallest decisions and things that I did, decisions that I made that didn't even involve her, regularly upset her. We often call this walking on eggshells, right? Like I felt at any moment like she was going to be mad at me for something that I said or did. She was incredibly petty all the time about so much. We were going out to an event, a group of us, and she called me to ask what I was going to wear to this event. I said, I'm going to wear my leather pants, I think. And on the other end of the phone, I got this big sigh and an eye roll that I couldn't see but knew was there. And she said, well, that's what I was going to wear, but I guess I'll wear something else. It's fine. I just remember thinking, even this, like, I'll wear something else. I don't care. It is not worth it to me to upset you once again because I'm wearing my leather pants tonight. I'll wear something else. I've never seen pettiness quite as direct and harmful when it comes to friendships with other moms than when another mom is excelling. I talked about this again in episode 3, 4 ways to know someone is for you, but the people that are your true friends, the true mom friends in your life, they will be happy for you when good things come into your life or something is developing really awesome in your life. The people that are close with you, that you know are for you, they're happy for you, even if there is a sting of a little bit of envy or there's a little bit of, oh, I wish I had that too at first. They are still genuinely happy for you and are able to move past the sting into genuine excitement for you. Pettiness is also a willingness to badmouth other moms at any time. Y'all, I'm just not going to do it, and I'm not going to stand for it. There is absolutely a place, there is, for very close, very trusted friends to come together and try to help each other walk out life. To talk about their marriages, to talk about hard stuff and friendship, to talk about the hard stuff with raising kids. But y'all, if you are sitting around the table and other women are beating down other women with their words, another mom, they are likely doing that to you, and they are not for you. They are clearly not for the other women at that table or the woman that they are annihilating with their words. Going back to episode 3 again, pettiness creates a question mark around, I know where I stand with you, right? When someone is passive aggressive or unnecessarily unkind or looks right past you or deliberately leaves you off an invite list, knowing that they're deliberately doing that, or they use their words in a way that indicates to you that you're not truly cared about, but maybe just tolerated, then you walk away, you walk around not knowing where you stand with them. And y'all, I'm just not going to invest in relationships like that. One of the reasons for that is that if I'm spending so much time laying on my bed at night, looking at the ceiling, trying to figure out what this person meant or whether or not they are for me or actually like me or care about me, and I try to evaluate all of their little behaviors because all of it seems to add up to them just not liking me or not wanting friendship with me, then I'm spending time doing that and not focused on my central relationships, which are my family. Y'all, it's hard enough raising kids. And I said this in episode 3, but I don't know where I stand with my kids half of the time, right? My kids don't know if they like me day in and day out. I don't need to be laying in bed at night wondering if this or that person/friend is actually for me or if the petty crap they're dumping on me is real or if I'm overreacting. All of that energy is wasted and it takes up mental and emotional space that my central relationships should get. That my friends that are for me should get, that my husband and children should get. I never want to give my focus and attention and investment to people who were never really going to be my true friends anyway, unless there's some real change or honestly, y'all, some repentance. There are people around me and in my community who are regularly petty, and I am kind to them the best that I can. I'm not always doing that perfectly well, but I'm not going to be unkind to them back. And y'all, sometimes I'm petty. I can be petty sometimes, y'all, but I'll work really hard at not trying to do that. But what I'm not going to do is invest in true friendships with people who are regularly petty. And you know what? That's okay. And it's not just okay, it's good. This is a deliberate habit that I have developed as it relates to being friends with other moms, particularly, is that I'm just not going to tolerate pettiness. If someone is petty, we're likely not going to be good friends. You know, there are a lot of wounded people walking around, y'all. Just the general stuff and junk of living life in 2024, coming out of years of a pandemic and isolation for people and kids at home with no school and lockdowns and hard stuff with marriages and kids and, of course, friends. And all of this means that there's just a lot of people walking around right now who are carrying a lot of wounds. And I'm sharing these 3 habits with you that are not the warm fuzzies. This isn't a warm fuzzy podcast today, right? These are boundaries in some ways, and these are intentional habits that I have formed over the course of the last 20 years that I've been a mom, because I'm now better able to identify what makes healthy, lasting friendships, particularly with other moms, what makes them work and what makes them break down. And when any of these 3 things goes haywire and I don't do them well, meaning I don't say no, I say yes too much because of my desire to people please, or because I don't want someone to be mad at me, or any plethora of reasons that I say yes when I really should be saying no. Also, when I'm investing in and spending time inside a new relationship where I might not even realize it, but there's a whole lot of expectations that are being placed upon me, and I don't maybe even realize the extent of it. And then all of a sudden I'm feeling like I don't know where I stand. And then I'm snapping at my kids because I'm trying to appease this friend. Or if I want to be friends with someone so badly that I indulge their pettiness and I'm walking into every situation with them with a shield up because I just don't know what kind of passive aggressive stuff is going to get thrown my way when I'm around them. When I am not doing these habits well, when I'm not exercising these habits well that have been born out of a lot of experience and a lot of wisdom, this is when I get into trouble in friendship. This is when things start to suffer at home with my kids or my husband. It's when my real friends, my friends that are for me, start to see that I'm agitated and overwhelmed. And by the goodness of God, I have friends who are able to look at me and say, hey, like, what's going on with this over here? I also have Jason, who is willing at any moment of any day in my life to point out when he sees me in a friendship that is not healthy. Y'all, it got so bad with a truly toxic friendship I was in, that Jason came to me and said, you either end this friendship or I'm going to step in. And I love him so much for it, even though it absolutely sucked when it happened. When I am not practicing these 3 habits well, I don't do well. My true friendships don't thrive. My kids and my family suffer. And I lay down on my pillow at night and just feel lost and sad and confused and honestly ragey. But when I exercise these habits regularly and well, my life functions well and my relationships thrive. These habits have been so helpful too, just keeping in the back of my mind when I'm walking through friendship with people. And when I find myself not saying no because I'm trying to people please, it's a good red flag for me, like, Sarah, you're losing your way here. Or when I find myself consistently stressed about what I'm not doing in a friendship, when I think, oh my gosh, I didn't call her, I didn't text her, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. When I find myself on this hamster wheel of trying to please someone and I don't even really know what it is I'm supposed to be doing, another red flag goes up and I say, Sarah, you need to course correct here. Or when I want to just be friends with somebody so badly because they're one of the cool kids or they're one of the cool moms or they're in this group or whatever it is. I just want to be friends with them, but they're being so petty with me. They're being passive aggressive. They're looking past me. They indicate that they're not for me, but I want that friendship so badly that I'm just tolerating buckets full of pettiness. That's when another red flag goes up and I'm like, no, this is not the way. This is not the way healthy relationships are built, and it's not the way healthy relationships thrive. This is the last thing I want to say before we close today. And that is that if you want to prioritize your family and your husband, and your kids are your central relationships, and that's what you feel called to do right now, and you want to practice these habits and cultivate good and healthy relationships in your life, then you will find it incredibly helpful to employ these habits as it relates to your extended family. You need to be able to say no to your extended family. You need to be able to foster relationships with your extended family on both sides, with family members who are for you and give you and your husband freedom to make the decisions that are right for your family. And you don't have to tolerate pettiness from your extended family. You may have to at times, at very specific and acute times like Thanksgiving or Christmas, or you may have to on family vacation. It may happen from time to time, but you can put up boundaries that will reduce the amount of time that you are subjected to it. If your family and your relationships with your husband and your kids are your priority, maybe you have the same order that I do. Maybe your relationship with God is your primary relationship, then your husband and your kids are your central relationships. If that's what's important to you, then it is okay for you to also have some boundaries when it comes to your extended family. Y'all, I did a lot of counseling, a lot of years of counseling that gave me that wisdom. And to this day, I have never gotten a piece of counseling from someone wise that has contradicted that. You guys, friendship with other moms and just other adults, it's so important. You need friendship. And I tell you guys this often, but if you're in a season where you don't have a lot of close friends, or you don't even have one close friend, keep pursuing it. Keep putting yourself out there. We were not meant to do life alone. We all inherently crave friendship. And there are pieces in that your husband cannot fulfill. And if you place all that weight on him to be your only friend, it is not going to go well for you and him, because it's not healthy for either of you for him to be your only emotional support and your only friend. When we started today, I told you none of us were meant to be alone. Jesus is not the only friend we have and shouldn't be the only friend we have. He certainly is not the only friend we need. We all crave friendship. As I was thinking through all of this, I was remembering in the movie Castaway, Tom Hanks on the island by himself for 4 years after his plane crashed, and he ends up surviving and getting out. I hope you've seen that movie and I didn't just spoil it for you, but he ends up after 4 years getting off the island. But while he's there, and there is not a single other human person on that island, Tom Hanks befriends Wilson, a volleyball from one of the packages that fell out of the plane that crashed. And he unintentionally created Wilson's face with blood marks from his hands from trying to start his first fire. When faced with life all alone, y'all, we will look for a friend. We crave it. All of us want it. And so what I want you all to continue to do is to fight for friendship, even if you're in a season right now where you don't have a lot of friends. Healthy boundaries, developing healthy habits like these 3 that I've just talked with you about today, being able to identify, why is this friendship feeling so hard and so broken? This will enable you to grow and maintain and sustain healthy, life-giving friendships with people who are for you. And y'all, I don't know that there's been any time in my life that I've needed that more than in this season of my life as a mom. So keep fighting for it. Keep working for it. Seek out wisdom about how to go about creating friendships that last, maintaining healthy friendships, keeping friends that are for you, and fighting to be a good friend too. Y'all, you can do all of this while maintaining your priority to your family, keeping them the central relationships in your life. Y'all, your kids will be better for it. They'll learn from you by watching you be a good friend and by seeing that you have some boundaries as well. That's it for today, y'all. Thank you for joining me again on the No Way But Through podcast. You've just listened to another episode of the No Way But Through podcast. If you want to connect with other like-minded moms and join our growing online community, head on over to Instagram and follow along with us at No Way But Through. You can always reach me over there throughout the week. And if you'd like to financially support this podcast, there's a link at the bottom of every episode where you can do just that.